soccer situation.
I think like Amtrak is so expensive these days. It's like not even. It's like fucking $200 to take a train. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Dude, to take a train to Grand Rapids should be like $25 tops. I feel like.
Oh, it should be so cheap. That's such a short ride.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. What's been going on with Littlefoot though? Y'all booming? Is Kaiser still there?
Kaiser's he's got a lot of stuff going on with Monday Coffee, so he keeps like having to adjust his time coming out here. He came out 1 week and did like a couple days of roasting with me, which was fun. And he was actually really good at like picking it up.
I believe it.
Like
Kaiser's
taking notes, paying attention.
Yeah, he's a smart kid.
I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed. You know, he's such an ideas guy, though. You know, sometimes those guys can't focus on something.
I know exactly what
he
you
has
mean.
brilliant ideas all the time, so I was worried about his level of focus.
Yeah.
But when he snapped into it, he was taking notes and asking questions. He was all over it. I was impressed.
That's awesome. That's how I remember him in the cafe too, learning barista work.
Yeah.
Can back it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to work with him. But yeah, we had a huge month in August, which was kind of shocking.
That's awesome, dude.
We've been trying to train a new person and have her like do cuppings and roaster training as well. And we just haven't had time. We've like barely had time to show her how to bag coffee.
That's cool. What else you been up to?
Nothing. Playing some pickleball, man. That's about it outside of sitting around playing video games.
That's cool.
How about you? What's going on with you? You've been crazy busy at work?
You know how it is. We were dealing with a legacy staff that had been there through COVID and morale was super low. And like when one of them quit, it kind of was like a domino effect. And so we had a bunch of people quit, you know?
Dang.
But no, I think it's for the best. They just needed change. They're all good kids, but like they were dragging ass. And all the new hires are super awesome. I love all the new staff. So I'm feeling good about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully I can.
That's good.
Yeah.
You need some reliable staff.
Yes, I need reliable staff. Exactly. So I can focus up on the pod. I've been like really beating myself up about dropping the ball on the pod, and it's just been adding unnecessary stress to my life. You know what I mean? Like I start making myself like my own hole, and like fuck, and it just gets more and more stressful. So this week I was able to let that go. I'm really like super relieved. All the new staff are great, and I'm ready to move on.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, let's dive in. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We got to catch up.
So 2 rounds of fixtures in this past week. We had weekend games and then midweek games that just wrapped up today. Manchester United with a 1-0 win against Leicester at Leicester. I didn't get to watch it. I was at work, obviously.
I missed that one as well.
I'm sure it was pretty boring.
Yeah.
So let's rewind. We've got too many games to talk about. So, we're going to hit the key ones. For me, I'm going to start at Liverpool, Bournemouth.
I want to hear about
obviously,
this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm going to speed read through these games. But yeah, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Liverpool 9, Bournemouth 0 is a record equaling results. Shocking for a number of reasons. I mean, the results aside, Liverpool had just been kind of mediocre so far this season. I saw a joke somewhere that asking Liverpool fans what that felt like, and it was like taking a shit after you've been constipated, and that's a pretty good analogy, I think.
It's
just like it was. Obviously, I enjoyed watching that when your team is just scoring for fun, and within the first 10 minutes of the game, you can relax and actually just enjoy the game. That's so rare in football, and I had that. I had a little chip on my shoulder. A Liverpool supporting friend of mine the other week had said that he hopes Firmino never plays for us again because Bobby's had a rough start to the season, but you know how much I love Bobby. I respect the guy that said it. I'm not talking shit, but it hurt to hear that. And so to see Firmino with 3 assists and 2 goals in that Bournemouth game was super, super satisfying. Not that I think he's back or, to prime Firmino, but he's still got something left to give. And I believe he scored and assisted versus Newcastle as well. Okay, so that was Liverpool Bournemouth 9-0. Midweek, Liverpool took on Newcastle. This game was super, super frustrating. Liverpool were kind of back to the mediocrity that we've seen all year. Just slow progression, a lot of uncertainty in the back line. But this game was a dream come true for those that have been driven insane by time wasting and the lack of accountability and time wasting in this game. Specifically time wasting in added time.
It's the worst.
So, yeah, I think for as long as I've been watching this game, a ref might throw on 5 minutes of added time, and the opposition team will just spend that entire 5 minutes on the pitch wasting all the added time, and there's never added time onto added time. Finally, this week we saw that. I think someone ran the clock, and Newcastle spent 3 minutes slowing down the game, stopping the game in added time, 3 minutes of the 5 minutes given, and the ref put 3 minutes on. And with the very last kick of the game, we actually got just banged it in. So it was ugly. The goal was even ugly. It was a goal mouth scramble. Fabio Carvalho just banged it in. But God, that was satisfying. Just philosophically satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like such a good feeling because it is so frustrating because there's nothing you can do. The refs just ignore any kind of complaints about it. Even though it's the most blatant thing every time. There's always as soon as it goes into that added time, there's a change and a substitution.
Yeah.
And even though they're told to go off on one side, the closest side of the pitch, they always walk across, and the ref will yell at them the whole way.
Yeah.
But not do anything about it, and then not add that time back on.
Right.
Yeah. It's so infuriating as a opposition fan.
It really is. So, I mean, it was downright shocking to see the clock continue. There were probably half a dozen times I expected him to blow, and it just kept going. And, funny result. Having said that, I think Liverpool are still shit. I don't know what's going on with us this year, other than the obvious injury component. That's pretty rough, but it's not much of an excuse. We'll come on to transfer deadline day and the moves we've made, but it's not looking great right now. So let's move on and talk about Arsenal. You had 2 fixtures this week as well.
Yeah, a couple 2-1s. Not the prettiest of wins in either, but results nonetheless.
That's how champions get it done, Alex.
5 for 5, coming, answering goals with quick responses, which has not been an Arsenal thing at all.
Nice.
In recent history. I think in both games, Fulham and Villa, they were both really hot starts by Arsenal, where they looked like they've had that a bit this season, where they come out of the blocks absolutely flying and like everything's clicking and they get tons of chances. But they haven't quite been able. I think they get a little too cocky when that happens still, where there's like always like one extra little flick or one extra little pass they look for instead of shooting. It's like old school Arsenal, always trying to walk it in.
Yeah. I was debating whether or not I should mention that joke.
Bring it up. Yeah,
it's been said once or twice.
Yeah, exactly. By a million people. But yeah, no, it is funny. Like they've hopefully that's something, and I think Arteta's mentioned it a couple times now, that he's frustrated with their ruthlessness in those moments. And I think that's something he's going to probably try and push on them is like, somebody needs to shoot this thing. We need goals.
Just put the ball in the fucking net.
Yeah, don't. There's no more little cute passes and threaded balls. Just someone take a shot.
Don't you think Gabriel Jesus seems pretty ruthless though? That fucker's banging him in.
He does. He definitely takes his chances. I think seems like the most clinical finisher we've had in a long time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which is very satisfying. And Martinelli is just getting better and better with every game. That kid is something else.
Yeah, I love everything I see from him.
Yeah, his attitude's great. He's so aggressive. He always is taking on people. He always wants the ball, and he's always going at that that right back. He's just like pushing him back the entire game. It's so satisfying to watch.
Yeah, I love that guy.
But yeah, I think Villa and Fulham were both frustrated by the losses. Like they both felt like they deserved something out of it. And in some ways you could say they could have gotten a point out of it, but I think in both games on the whole, like the picture as a whole, I think Arsenal were the better team in both those games.
Sure.
So I mean, I'll take it. I'll take those results. They're, like I said, 5 for 5 from coming from last year's start to the season. You can't really ask for much more.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a dream start. Especially, I think that Fulham result is a little bit of a standout because Fulham are starting to show a lot more resilience than people had assumed they would bring.
Yeah.
They're looking like a real fucking team.
Yeah, I was actually I was talking about that while I was watching the match. I was like, they look like a team. Like they play. I was expecting Marco Silva to be like old school Marco Silva, where they're all out attack and just getting picked apart at the back.
Yeah,
he looks like he's really put it all together. Like they are defensively sound. They work as a unit defensively. They frustrate you.
They're physical. They're super strong. Physical. That's not a Fulham trait traditionally.
No, and they're still. And Mitrovic is just proving to like. I don't even. How old is that guy now? I feel like I've been hearing about him forever, but.
I honestly couldn't.
I don't know his age at all.
Like the number 30 popped into my head, but I could be complete. Yeah, I don't keep tabs on Mitro too well. But yeah, I feel like every time he, because he's yo-yoed up and down with them a few times now. I feel like every time he comes back up, he's a little better. It's funny, right?
He does get better.
A little bit of evolution, but
he goes down and practices in the championship, and then comes back and tries out his new skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fulham was a tough test. Villa, I was actually surprised at the second half how it went. Just because they didn't seem like they were putting up much of a fight at all. Jared must have lit him up at halftime.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't think I've watched Aston Villa yet this year.
That was the first time I have.
Stevie's taking a lot of criticism right now, though.
Yeah.
He's not expected to be around much longer if things continue as such, and they have City this weekend.
Yeah, it's not going to get easier for them. No. They did it pretty well against us, but like we could have scored more, and City will be that ruthless. They will bury those goals.
Yeah, we'll come on to City, but fucking hell.
This episode of Soccer Situations is brought to you by Littlefoot Coffee. I mean, what can I say about Littlefoot Coffee? They're not just friends of the pod, they're family of the pod, quite literally. Alex started Littlefoot years ago after more than a decade of roasting experience, roasting coffee for some of the hottest, most fashionable, and most importantly, tasty specialty coffee roasters in America. My favorite thing about it is that it's just really high-grade coffee without a drop of pretense. You're not going to find a bunch of weird, savory notes that the roaster is passing off as intentional. It's just really sweet, comforting flavors that everybody wants in their coffee. And now, for a limited time only, you can get 15% off at littlefootcoffee.com. Promo code SITUATIONS. Once again, you can get 15% off at littlefootcoffee.com using the promo code SITUATIONS.
Manchester United are now officially on a 3-game win streak. This week they had 2 1-0s, 2-0-1s. Anyway, they won by 1 goal 2 times this week against Southampton and Leicester. It's tough for me to trust my own opinions because they still look thoroughly mediocre to me as well. They're grinding out these wins. There was a lot of pundits said, described them as excellent against Liverpool. I really don't think they were. I think we were just dog shit. But, I have 20 years of Man United related trauma on me. So I really they're the one team where I don't know if I can trust my vision of them, but I just don't see it. I was surprised they won against Leicester today, although Leicester are also struggling quite a bit.
That's true. Yeah, they've looked bad since the start. But yeah, I don't think United have looked impressive even like in that game, like you said, the Liverpool game, people were, even the announcers and everybody was talking about how great they were. And I really don't think I saw that at all.
No, that was
pretty
just a really dull game.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a pretty shit game, and they got they managed to get 2 goals. Like, it wasn't anything impressive by them, and even since then, they haven't looked fantastic in any of their wins. I mean, they're getting results, but
yeah, and I guess that's good, right? That's where you start when you're rebuilding a squad, when you're, implementing a new philosophy with a new manager, yada, yada. You
got to pick up points somehow.
Yeah, they're doing all the right things, I think. They're, grinding out wins is a super valuable skill.
Impressed to see Ten Hag was like finally put his foot down and put Ronaldo on the bench.
Oh my God. I love how he's handling Ronaldo. Yeah.
I think that's a huge move for that team. I think they need that. They need to get that shit out of there. I think it's probably a bad thing that he's sticking around the club for at least till January.
Yeah, I was super happy to hear he was staying.
He's going to be toxic as hell in that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, it came from a trashy tabloid, so I didn't read what the exact source was, but it was reported this week that when he came in, he demanded that Harry Maguire be stripped of the captaincy. And Rangnick was like, no, we're not doing that. But if he did that, I mean, look, obviously I'm not defending Maguire, but the audacity to come in to a locker room and just be like,
demand that.
Yeah.
You switch the captaincy.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's not at all surprising. His ego's pretty well documented.
Yeah, it's massive.
But yeah, we'll talk more about Ronaldo and Manchester United when we come to deadline day. Yeah.
Fortunately, we got to talk about Man City.
Yeah, City. So City kicked off against Crystal Palace at the same time as Liverpool was playing Bournemouth. So I wasn't watching it live. And I saw Palace go up 2-0 pretty early, maybe a little bit too early. What do you think? Were you watching that game?
I did. I watched most of the second half until City took the lead. And then I was like, all right, this is over.
Yeah. The first of 2 Erling Haaland hat tricks this week.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He makes it look real easy.
Yeah. And then an absolute beauty from Cancelo too. That was an incredible goal.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the City turned it on. They were frustrated, and when they turned up to the next level in the second half, it was Palace couldn't touch them.
Yeah,
they could not stop them. It was sad.
Yeah, it is. It's really starting to get frightening.
I know.
Palace went up 2-0. City came back and ended up winning 4-2, and like pretty much dominant, like a really
convincingly
4-2.
It wasn't like
win.
like they pulled a couple goals back late.
It wasn't a late comeback.
They dominated them.
Yeah,
like those 2 goals were ancient history by the time that game was over.
Right, and then fast forward a couple of days, and we've got Manchester City hosting Nottingham Forest.
Or Forest.
Yeah. Liverpool kicked off 15 minutes after this kickoff. We were the later game, but overlap. And by the time Liverpool kicked off, I think Haaland already had a hat trick.
Yeah, he was banging. I wasn't watching that match, but you were texting me as it was happening, and I was just like,
I couldn't text you fast enough.
I know.
It's like, oh, Haaland already scored. Oh, wait, never. And I was like, delete the
Haaland
text.
again.
He scored again. Oh, yeah, there he is again. Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, give Haaland the golden boot. I mean, I don't think it's good for the health of myself or the podcast for me to be like, the season's done. But fucking hell, it's difficult to imagine this freight train stopping.
Literally, the only hope I have is I remember there's been a few seasons recently where Chelsea have started in a form like this.
Yeah, that's true.
Been looked like it was like, fuck, give them the league. This is over. They're running away with games. It doesn't even look close. And then just the wheels came off over winter throughout that jam-packed season. Yeah. I mean, I think City's a different team, but this season's going to be crazy. The jam-packed fixtures. obviously they have the most depth out of any team in the league, but
Yeah.
you never know.
If stupid Holland gets to rest during the World Cup, Norway's not going.
Oh, yeah, shit. At least Martin gets to rest, too, though. That's good.
Yeah, that's true.
We need Odegaard.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Captain Odegaard.
What a leader he has just emerged as, right?
Oh, man. That dude's badass.
Looks like goddamn Captain America out there.
He does. His hair, too. The hair just flopping around.
He's handsome and confident. He's got the build. He's got the well-rounded skill set to kind of be all over the pitch. He's really emerged as kind of like a Real Madrid cast-off. People weren't sure if he was boyhood wonder turned flop. And it's no, he's the player people thought he was.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not even in his prime yet. He's just starting the prime years, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy to see him grow as a player.
Indeed. Yeah.
I guarantee at some point in his career, Madrid comes knocking again, wanting him back.
Oh, most definitely. Those fuckers.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he was that much better and did go take his chance there. I wouldn't blame him for that if he did. Just to go prove it that he could do it.
No, stay a bit Arsenal legend, dude.
He should be an Arsenal legend.
I mean, honestly, look at the last 5 years of high-profile transfers, and I feel like people always almost implode. Haaland's obviously exemption, but so many seek fame and fortune elsewhere, and it just doesn't pan out.
It's true. It doesn't. A lot of times, so many times, it doesn't pan out.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know. He seems like the type of character that if things aren't a mess at Arsenal, that he might stick around for for the rest of his career.
Yeah. The other thing is, I mean, the way things are trending, the economic disparity between England and every other league is it's growing exponentially. I'm really starting to get concerned about it in terms of what it means for the health of European football. But I could see in 5-6 more years, these other leagues just literally not being able to pay wages of Premier League players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
It's trending that way right now. I hope something is done to halt it or reverse it a little bit. It's really, I mean, the Ronaldo saga right now is a key example. He was willing to go to anywhere in Europe that had Champions League football, and no one can meet his wages.
Yeah. I mean, that's you've seen that with Arsenal too. The reason that Arsenal have terminated contracts for players, which they just did today with Bellerin, to allow them to leave, was because they could not sell them. Their wages were too high.
Right.
The clubs could not afford. It wasn't the fee that was a problem. No one could afford their wages.
Right.
So the only option in the end for long-term health of the club was to terminate these contracts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is I'm kind of surprised United didn't try and do that with Ronaldo and just get him out of the club.
I'm really surprised they didn't. I wonder if it's just an optics thing. But yeah, City ended up winning 6-0 against Forest. To circle back to that.
The easiest long tangent.
Right. Yeah, I was we're going to have to talk fast about all these games. We got to talk about deadline day. There's a lot going on. Sure enough,
it's going to be a long pod.
Half a joint and the rambling begins. I spent
it's going to be a long pod.
20 seconds just trying to think of a word.
I forget it's Arsenal United this weekend.
Yeah, so big games. Again, because we have a lot to talk about today, I just highlighted 3 fixtures this weekend. The early kickoff, which we know I love and Liverpool loves, is the big one, Liverpool versus Everton, the Merseyside Derby. And a tough one to call this year. I'd like to think we're gonna stomp them. I have it down in the running order as Liverpool hosting Everton, but it's actually the opposite. We're at Goodison. And, Everton like to play us tough there. I can see this being a 0-0 very easily. Good news is Darwin Nunez will be back in the squad following his 3-game suspension for headbutting some asshole. uh, yeah, hasn't been like an ideal welcome to the Premier League for Nunez.
I kind of like it.
He's not scored 9 goals in 5 games like Erling Haaland. All the preseason stuff was like Haaland versus Nunez. Now Haaland's up 9 goals.
Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough.
Yeah, Nunez coming off a 3-game suspension. I like it too, to be honest. I like a little fire. I like a crazy Uruguayan. You know it.
I was gonna say he's just picking up where he should. Like Suarez became the enemy. And everyone hated him, but Liverpool fans loved him.
Did you see Suarez like tweeting at him too?
Was he?
But Suarez was like, "Oh, homie," he's like, "The press are just gonna shit on you from now on." I mean, he was saying it like in Uruguayan slang,
yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, he's like, they're gonna fucking look at you twice as hard now. They're gonna shit on you every chance they get." Because Suarez really hated the British press.
Of course, yeah.
He gave that as a main excuse for wanting out, and it actually rang really true to me.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
I mean, obviously, he was.
They hated him.
For sure. But anyway, Liverpool Everton. Honestly, I think my call would be 0-0. It's going to be ugly as hell.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a rough game. Maybe somebody can pull out a 1-0, but it could go either way.
Our squad is slowly coming back. We had Matip on the bench for Newcastle and Curtis Jones on the bench, so we have a little bit of reinforcement in midfield. And I would love to see Joel start this game ahead of Gomez, but I think Klopp likes continuity in defense whenever he can. So I honestly don't know if I could pick our back four for that game. It's going to be interesting to see. I think in the midfield, it'll be the same. Actually, I'm sorry. Henderson pulled a hammy at that Newcastle game. So I don't know what our midfield's going to be either. It'll probably be Jones, Elliott, Fabinho is a risky one with Jones coming off injury too.
Throw him right in there.
I don't know. Maybe Artur Melo gets thrown right in.
He might have to.
Yeah, or of course, there's always old Milner. Oh, yeah. That's probably what it'll be. It'll probably be Milner, Elliott, Fabinho in the midfield.
That makes sense.
Especially, with such kind of a hot-headed game, hot-tempered game, I should say. Yeah, we'll see. The derby's always feisty. Everton are shit, but so are we right now.
Yeah.
After that, I've got Tottenham Fulham down as a game to watch.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this one. A London derby, of course, though, maybe not a traditionally heated one. But they're both in good form. They're both going to be super, super up for it. And, do you have a call on this one?
Yeah, I honestly think this is going to be a draw. I think it's going to be pretty tight. Tottenham just dropped points, but Fulham's been, they've been great since the start.
Right.
I could see them giving Tottenham a ton of problems. I mean, Tottenham have been looked pretty good so far. And obviously they're super with Kane and Son, and they can score. But Fulham's looked solid. They've looked solid defensively. I feel like this could be like a 1-1 or even like a 2-2, like either like a back and forth score fest or like just a grinded out draw.
You know who might come on for the late winner in this match? A little Afro Brazilian by the name of Willian. Did you see?
Oh, he's back.
Fulham brought in Willian. I was so surprised by that. Oh my God, what is he, like 35?
Yeah, I think so.
I was also surprised when he got shipped out, though. I thought he still had plenty to give. So I guess I'm not super surprised to see him back. I don't know. But I enjoyed seeing him in the headlines today, and it'll be funny seeing him in a Fulham shirt.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw the photo of him in a Fulham shirt. I was like, oh, man, this guy's back.
Are you going to buy a William Fulham shirt if he scores a 90th minute winner against Tottenham?
Yeah, I will. I love Fulham shirts are dope.
Yeah, they're Fulham shirts are always classic, just like white with little red and black trim.
If he came out and scored, curled in like a free kick or something late in the game to win it, that'd be the best thing ever.
Yeah, it really would be.
Chelsea and Arsenal fans would be so happy.
Yeah, you can hold hands and wave a banner saying "Thank you, William."
Yeah, thank you, William. That'll be his one goal for the year.
Exactly. And then, of course, the other big game on Sunday, we got Manchester United hosting Arsenal. I How do you feel about this one? I get so mad. You fuckers always lose to Manchester United.
We do. I get really mad too. I hate it. We're always a better team than them, and they always manage to somehow beat us.
Yeah. Well, this is the time to turn it around, right?
I hope so. I'm kind of worried about our squad depth right now.
Oh yeah.
We're missing Partey and El Neni in midfield.
Yeah, so who's your midfield three in this game?
It'll be Xhaka, Sambi, and probably Odegaard.
Oh, yeah.
Like Odegaard playing in front of them there.
Okay. Yeah, Sambi's not ideal, but aside from that, those two should be able to watch out. Cover.
They should be fine. I mean, I'm more worried about us linking the attack well going forward, honestly, and getting out of situations more than anything.
Sure.
Just without Partey in there, it definitely hurts us. And El Neni does a pretty good job, especially actually in big games. El Neni is huge for games like this.
Yeah.
Because he works his ass off out there, and he can pull out a pass. Like he's got skill. He's not the most consistent player, but when he's on his game, he can run the midfield. But yeah, I don't know. United are scraping out wins. They'll definitely have some confidence. They just spent another 90 million on Anthony for this game. So
yeah, I wonder if he'll get the start.
I don't know if he'll start, but I bet he'll come on at some point.
Newcastle threw their new striker on right into the fire against us.
That's true, and he
was great,
guy, right?
Of course, yeah. They've got experience.
He does know
together.
him. He could just throw him in there.
Yeah,
he's running a similar system, maybe.
Yeah,
possible. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a tough match. I'd like to be confident and say we can win it. I think we should win it. I'm going to say another 2-1. I'm going to say a trio of 2-1s for Arsenal. They're going to squeak out a 2-1 win.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be kind of like 2-1 either way.
Absolutely. That's a good shout. All right, let's talk about a deadline day. So I thought we'd be recording when it wrapped up, but I guess I don't understand time zones. It wrapped up a couple of hours ago, and it was kind of a huge window. A really dramatic window. I put a few highlights in the notes here. By all means, bring up anything I missed. Just going through the running order, let's start with Manchester United. The Ronaldo saga has been funny to me.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that they realized they need to get rid of him.
Yeah,
it kind of speaks to the toxicity he must be bringing because he's an undisputed icon. The fact that the club really is like, God, we got to get this guy out of here is pretty damning, which I enjoy. Yeah. And then from there, I've enjoyed the steady decline of attempted destinations. Like at first he was like, I could see myself at Bayern Munich. That'd be cool. And Bayern Munich was like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, we're all right.
And then, Dortmund, there was a talk about Dortmund. He just took the next step down the Bundesliga ladder. Dortmund were like, no, that doesn't really make sense for us. We're all right. Yeah, and then before you know it, he's talking about Napoli, and they're like, I don't think so. And just right down the line. I think even Sporting was the Sporting's manager was like, no,
we're good.
We're not interested.
No one wants an aging dickhead who is the biggest ego in the world on their team right now.
Yeah,
that they're gonna have to pay a fortune.
Yeah, there were Man United alum pundits all over Sky Sports today for deadline day, as there always are. And of course, the story they were spinning is, as I said earlier, it's not a matter of no one wanting him. It's a matter of no one being able to pay him. And I think at times that's true. But I also think there was kind of a level of desperation in Ronnie and to a certain extent in Manchester United that they could have made a deal happen, split wages, deferred wages, yada, yada, Yeah. It seems, if it's to be believed that his primary motivation is maintaining his Champions League goal scoring record. That's why he wants to be at a Champions League team so bad.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I lost my train of thought. But anyway, the whole thing's been funny, and it ended in the funniest possible way for me, which is that they could not find a team for him, and
now he's stuck.
Even though, it's both sides of the relationship know that they wanted it to be over, but it's not.
They just couldn't make it happen.
Hilarious. Yeah. He just sits there just glowering at Harry Maguire across the locker room.
Yeah.
But
on the bench just being angry as hell.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I think Ten Hag is handling it as well as a manager can. You know, he didn't ask for this situation. He seems to have just taken his stand and he's washing his hands of it, and that's all he can do.
Yeah.
Aside from the Ronaldo saga, I've had my time to laugh at them. I actually think United had a really good window, to be honest. 82 million for Antony is absurd. That's just it's comically inflated. I mean, it's so bad.
They got raked over the coals for that.
Yeah, but I do think he's probably a good player at the end of the day.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, that's a little speculative for me right now. But the other big three they signed, Casemiro, Martinez, and Malacia, I'm already kind of convinced by all of them. Casemiro obviously has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
A solid defensive midfielder. And as we've said before, I think that's kind of the key position to build a new squad. You build out from that defensive midfielder. And Martinez... people were kind of slamming him for his height. He's 5'8" in the Premier League, but he's actually been aerially dominant, good on the ball.
Yeah,
and I think he was just named United's Player of the Month, actually. So,
he's been really good, which has been frustrating because Arsenal, they definitely swooped him from us. So
yeah, he looks great. And Malacia, I've only seen a little bit of. When I was at Cleo's with Paco. What game was that? Anyway, he came on and looked great. He's super, super young, but looks a really looks like he's got a lot of potential. Good young talent. Definitely. So I think when those players settle in, we will see a better Ronaldo, or a better Manchester United. At some point in this season.
I think it's a huge for Ten Hag to finally put Ronaldo on the bench and not just cave to his ego. I think that's a huge step forward for them, which is frustrating because I think him being on the bench and the other players getting the confidence boost, that's their team. They've had talent throughout the team for a while now.
They really have.
It's just been a clusterfuck of attitudes and poor management. Unfortunately, it looks like they might be slowly getting it together.
Ten Hag is making all the right moves so far. He benched both Ronaldo and Maguire. He's like, you two sit together.
I forgot Maguire too.
Yeah.
Both suck.
Strong moves, and I think undeniably the right moves.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Let's move on to Chelsea. They just signed your boy Pierre-Emerick Gold Lamborghini Aubameyang.
I can't believe that they signed him.
Yeah, talk about voluntarily bringing a toxic presence into your locker room.
Right?
Are they not watching All or Nothing on Amazon?
Yeah,
Prime?
Did they not sit back and watch that whole thing?
That dude looked like a dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah, he was being so childish in that whole situation.
Yeah.
And when he's happy and he's in the mood, he can score some goals. But even it did not take long for him to sour at Arsenal, even after he just got his massive contract he had wanted.
Right.
And he immediately soured, and it was so frustrating. But I don't know. I also just don't know why they would bring him in unless he's going to be just a backup or.
Well, they do need a striker. I mean, they're not.
It's true.
They're not super blessed up front. No, there's definitely space at the top end of their squad for a striker. I think he is an odd choice, though, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Honestly, I'll be curious to see how he does, and at least how he starts. I guess. I mean, it's gonna be. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
He'll score some bangers, definitely.
Oh yeah,
Yank's always got a banger in him.
Absolutely.
I could see him and Sterling hitting it off and having a good little partnership up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll have their moments this year for sure.
What a funny, weird time we live in. Raheem Sterling, Aubameyang, front line for Chelsea.
For Chelsea, yeah, so strange.
Yeah, it's really weird.
How did we get here?
Yeah, Chelsea brought in Koulibaly and Wesley Fofana from.
Oh yeah, they just got Fofana too
from Leicester to shore up the defense.
I don't know if I have a whole lot of an opinion on Fofana, really. Like, I watched a lot of Leicester games, but I don't know if like I particularly picked him out as a spectacular player.
Yeah, same. No, I can't say he's ever made a negative impression, but I always thought he looked like a good player, say. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think, I never thought, oh, this guy belongs in a Champions League team. I don't know that he's worth it. But then again, good center backs can be few and far between. So I guess if Tuchel identified him as a player he likes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously Koulibaly is just a good, solid signing.
Yeah, I really like Koulibaly, to be honest. That's a bummer. I mean,
yeah, it's
good for Chelsea fans. Manchester City made. I mean, I don't know if you can really even get past just signing Haaland. Now that
it's
5 games in, he's got 9 goals. It just looks invincible, and has everybody, I think, rethinking the entire season. Honestly, that's how good he's been. The Ramble boys are constantly comparing him to the real Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo. And if you listen to the Ramble for a long time, I don't think there's any higher praise they give than making that comparison.
Yeah, that's pretty high praise.
Those boys,
they respect the hell out of Ronaldo.
Brazilian Ronaldo. Yeah. And I don't know what else to say. It's all been said already. And already
it's an unbelievable signing.
Already just about perfect team on paper that has just been bossing this league. Just like added a nuclear arsenal to their lineup.
Yep, they added the best striker in the world to their lineup.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's on pace for 67 goals this year, I think.
Wouldn't rule out anything at this point.
Right. So enough about them. Let's talk Arsenal. A couple of City boys are doing well in North London now, right?
Yeah. Look at it. That's how many embarrassment of riches Manchester City had. That they gave us Zinchenko and Jesus for like not a lot of money at all, and they're both thriving at Arsenal. Jesus looks like a real number 9. Looks like he can score at any moment. And Zinchenko's, I think he missed the last game, but he's looking a very, very good player. If he's making Kieran Tierney look kind of bad at left back, it's pretty hard to do.
I like Zinchenko for his versatility.
Yeah,
he runs all over the pitch and he looks comfortable all over the pitch.
Honestly, I think in this Arteta kind of hinted at this. For the United match, is if Zinchenko's fit, putting Zinchenko in that midfield role. Sure.
Yeah. I read some speculation about whether he might not play in midfield full time for y'all when he signed him.
He might still, like, once Tierney's up to speed again. Tierney's finally back fit again, and he played a full game. So, like, hopefully, if Tierney can start every game now, Zinchenko, could slot into that midfield.
That would be pretty cool.
It'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
Little disappointing deadline day for Arsenal. They talked up a big game, like they were going to do some business. We were looking at right wingers, what the injuries, they were desperate to bring in a central midfielder, and then nothing came of it.
Yeah, that's always a bit of a bummer when you need something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though, because they were very adamant in talking openly about bringing in 1 or 2 more players. So really, like, the only disappointment came from the fact that, like, usually teams are kind of quiet about whether they're, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
At least Arsenal has been historically. But they were pretty blatantly saying, we want to bring in 1 or 2 more. And then for them not to do it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Similar story for Liverpool. This was a strange window behaviorally for us. Notably, Klopp made a few statements indicating not frustration, but, like low-key disappointment in our lack of aggression in the window. He said he wished we would risk a little bit more, but in the most respectful way possible. I don't know. I don't see any drama there. But I do have my concerns. This year saw the departure of Liverpool's sort of data science transfer guru, Michael Edwards. And I think he's the only man you could argue has been as responsible for Liverpool's revolution as Klopp. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, we basically haven't missed in the transfer market under his reign. He was just like batting 1,000. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
And he's gone. Obviously, he had a protege. He had a planned departure. So his protege is in place, and we're hoping for a really smooth transition. But I'm already seeing kind of behaviors that I didn't see under Edwards. And a deadline day move is one of them. I used to get so excited about deadline day.
Always.
Like, I want to talk about a little bit about was it January 2011? Liverpool. I think I have that year right. I don't care if I don't. Fuck off. Liverpool had a deadline day where they saw everything, all the drama. I had gut-wrenching heartbreak in losing Fernando Torres. I remember how that day started, like any other. I had a smile on my face. It was deadline day. And I remember hearing the first whispers that maybe Torres wanted out. And I was like, no, surely not. Don't be stupid. And then I remember, like, it might have been you that told me you heard he put in a transfer request. And I was like, you're an idiot. No, he didn't. And then I saw it officially that he had put in a transfer request. And it literally felt like I got punched in the stomach. He went to Chelsea. So that was the bad side. And then I had the dream side. We signed a little fucking Tasmanian devil named Luis Suarez, who would go on to be the most entertaining footballer I've ever watched. And then we had the kind of mediocre, like, deadline flop in Andy Carroll, who was kind of the hot young English talent of the moment. In an Erling Haaland type mold, but didn't necessarily pan out to be that kind of athlete. Big, brutal for like number 9, but not quite the same. So that was kind of a legendary deadline day in my mind. But the more, the older you get, the more deadline days you've seen, the more you realize that deadline day dealings are not really ideal in any way for your club.
Terrible.
You're behind the 8 ball in negotiations. It shows a lack of planning, a lack of foresight, I'm kind of bummed that Liverpool signed Artur Melo today. Obviously, we need midfield reinforcements. I should be really happy about it. I don't know the player very well. I haven't seen him since he was a young prospect at Barca. I didn't watch him at Juve at all.
I haven't really either.
So I don't really have any like practical reason to be excited about it. So it's overridden by my concern that this is Julian Ward's first deadline day, and I'm seeing like a little bit sloppier practices in the window from Liverpool.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair to worry about things like that changing.
Yeah. In all that paranoia, I glossed over the fact that we broke our transfer record fee for Darwin Nunez, and even though he headbutted an asshole and hasn't been able to play much since then, I think he's going to be great. So
he does look like he's going to be a hell of a player.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Another notable deadline day, I want to talk about Nottingham Forest. I don't even know how to talk about it. They ended up making 21 signings in a window. I've never heard of anything even approaching. That's not just a whole new starting 11. It's a whole new squad.
An entirely new squad. That's an insane. Most teams don't even, like, a lot of teams have like an 18-man squad.
Right.
18 to 20 players. They have more than that they signed this summer.
just this summer. I wish I had done more for this, to be honest. This is where I really am annoyed that I haven't been able to spend as much time on the pod, because I haven't really looked over. I can't pick out who in their current starting 11 played in the championship last year. I don't know who remains, if anybody. Does anyone remain from that squad?
If you have 21 signings,
players. Yeah.
I feel like they can't. Who could be remaining from that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'll do the research, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that next week, because deadline day or not, that's actually an interesting story.
Yeah, because also, like, did they move out the other 20 players they probably had? Like, where did these other players go?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answers.
You can't have a 40-man squad.
Yeah, we'll have to do the research, and we'll talk about this on a future pod, because this is, I mean, throughout the season, this is going to be an interesting story. I think to start a season with a brand new squad, it's insane. I know I had Tottenham in the running order. Their window really wasn't that interesting. They padded their squad out a little bit with like Richarlison and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, they have a good squad. They definitely have a good squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just added a few things for, I think, mostly for depth, and they had a decent window.
Do you think Harry Kane is sad that he's never going to have a golden boot again now that Haaland's in the league?
That's true. Now he has nothing to look forward to.
I think Salah's upset about it. In that Bournemouth match, Liverpool scored 9 again, remember?
Yeah.
And Salah did not score or assist a single goal.
Oh, shit.
And he missed a couple sitters, too. That's why we could have scored 11 or 12 that game. Salah missed at least 2 sitters that stood out to me. And I thought it was really funny because he was like laughing, and he was laughing a little bit too hard, like a little bit like a maniac that's about to stab someone. He was like, because everyone else was getting goals, and he was like, it's funny, I keep missing.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was losing his mind a little bit. He was like trying to be cool, but he was like, he was faking it a little bit too hard, I think.
Yeah.
I think he was fucking pissed.
Man, that's hilarious. So I think my most recent memory for like good deadline day signings for Arsenal were like, I mean, just a quick mention for Arteta, because that was like obviously Arteta deadline day signing turned into a manager one day.
Future legend,
yeah, pretty crazy. He was a deadline day signing that I was like, what the fuck? We're signing Mikel Arteta from Everton, like just because we're desperate for anybody in midfield.
Oh my god, Evertonians are probably so mad right now.
Oh, I was so mad because I was like, he's not, like, he's aging. He's not, like, I'm like, this is who we needed. But then he was pretty good for us. He definitely lacked mobility at that time in his career. Yeah, which was a problem at times. But he scored some great goals for us, and obviously he was like a good leader for the team. So, and became a manager because of that. So, it's good. But the one that was the most exciting for me in recent history had to be the Mesut Ozil January transfer, or the deadline day transfer, because that came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Not linked with him once for the entire window, and then Wenger pulled out the magic phone, and just suddenly Ozil was on his way.
Yeah, he was a highly coveted player too, right?
Yeah, and he was like at the peak of his powers at Madrid, just like insane that all of a sudden he was on his way to Arsenal, literally out of nowhere.
Do you remember, was he being linked elsewhere in the window? Or
I don't think so. I don't think he was even on the market. I don't think he was like even on the market.
That's right. That's what it was, because Jose had that funny comment.
Oh, yeah, where he didn't know he was for sale. So
Mourinho was like, I wish I had known he was for sale. I would have bought him. It's like, I didn't know. He was pissed about it. Yeah,
Arsene just pulled some connects and got that direct line, and it was so shocking, but that was an exciting one.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that was a deadline day deal, and I forgot about that Mourinho comment, which is such a funny thing. Yeah.
Oh, I had another funny one too. One that's just humor. I know you'll enjoy this one. Yossi Benayoun.
Ah, Yossi.
He ended up scoring the goal that like clinched us the Champions League place that year too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
He
funny.
scored some bangers for us.
SoSi is a hell of a player, man. I think a cult hero for Liverpool for sure.
He is for the brief time he spent like one season at Arsenal, but
Yeah.
Arsenal fans loved him.
Liverpool fans love him too.
He's hard to hate the guy. He's so awesome.
I mean, he looks like emaciated. He's just fucking weird, skinny little, like kind of rat face looking guy. No, I'm sorry, SoSi. I don't mean to disrespect you. But
he's not a good looking guy.
He's so good on the ball, though.
Insane.
He can dribble. He can shoot. He kind of dribbled like Messi. That's insane to say, but like, you know what I mean? He had that low really center of gravity, good close control. He was super aggressive, progressing the ball. Really fun player to watch.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was really awesome. That was another one where it was like when we first signed him, I was like, what? We just pulled SoSi Benayoun out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just like, but he turned out to be a very useful player that year. So
SoSi's a funny one. He had a funny little journeyman career in the Premier League. You know, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. Did he go anywhere else?
Yeah, he did. I had it up earlier. Where did he go? West Ham, maybe?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure it was West Ham.
I could picture him in the claret and blue, although there's like 6 teams that use those colors.
Yeah, it could be any of those teams. But yeah, West Ham. It was West Ham.
He played in a lot of good teams, and I bet you every one of those fan sets feels the same way we do. Like, yeah, I'd like that guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he started at West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
West Ham signed him. Yeah. Yeah, what a career for him.
Yeah, he bounced around, didn't make any enemies. He was just like fun little player.
Yeah, did some cool shit.
Always entertaining. Goals.
Nice. You have anything else?
Let me see here. I didn't take as many notes again.
Soccer situation. Soccer situation.